Peppa and George ran outside to play as the rain started. They jumped into puddles, splashing water everywhere. Mommy Pig brought raincoats and reminded them, "Be careful, don't slip." Daddy Pig appeared with a big umbrella, sheltering Peppa and George from the rain. Peppa found a giant puddle, carefully jumped in, and laughed with joy. Finally, the whole family stood under the umbrella, watching Peppa and George dance in the rain, laughing together. Peppa Pig and the Night Garden. Peppa was fast asleep, moonlight shining softly through the window. In her dream, Peppa stepped into a glowing garden filled with flowers that lit up the night. George appeared in the garden, and together they laughed and played among the shining flowers. A glowing butterfly flew around Peppa, guiding them deeper into the magical garden. George woke up in the night, hearing Peppa giggle in her dream. He yawned, smiled, and pulled the blanket over himself to sleep again. Peppa Pig and the Windy Hill Picnic. Today, Peppa's family goes for a picnic on a windy hill. Oh! George chases his apple as the wind blows it away. Daddy Pig's hat flies off.
Oh.
Time for a little chase. They enjoy lunch together, laughing in the breeze. And finally, they fly a kite high into the sky. Peppa Pig and the magical rain. It starts to rain, and Peppa and George watch the drops roll down the window like tiny mirrors. Mummy Pig brings out their raincoats and favorite muddy boots. To them, rainy days mean the best time to jump in puddles. They rush outside, splashing water everywhere, laughing as the puddles sparkle like mirrors on the ground. Suddenly, the sun peeks through the clouds, and a bright rainbow stretches across the sky. Wow! Whoa! Daddy Pig steps outside, looks up, and is amazed to see the rain has stopped and a beautiful rainbow has appeared. Peppa and George laugh joyfully, ending the magical afternoon.
Peppa Pig and the Secret Garden Map. While playing in the garden, Peppa and George discover a mysterious piece of paper. Peppa opens it and realizes it is a hand-drawn map filled with strange symbols. They follow the map through the garden, exploring familiar places in a new way. Under a big tree, they uncover a small hidden box. Wow! The box reveals colorful stones, ending the little adventure with warm smiles.
Peppa and the giant blue balloon. Peppa runs into the yard and discovers a giant blue balloon lying on the grass. George taps the balloon lightly. It makes a boing sound that makes him burst into laughter. Daddy Pig is dozing off on the porch. The giant balloon rolls into his foot, waking him for a moment before he falls back asleep. Peppa and George push the giant balloon around the yard, laughing each time it bounces high. Peppa and George keep playing, pushing the balloon back and forth, while Daddy Pig continues sleeping peacefully on the porch.
Peppa Pig and the flying umbrella. It looks like it's going to rain today, and Peppa has her umbrella ready. But Peppa soon discovers the wind has other plans. In a flash, the umbrella flies into the air without asking anyone. The umbrella looks very happy, as if it has always dreamed of flying.
Whoa!
Finally, it lands gently on the grass, satisfied after its short adventure. Peppa learns that sometimes even familiar things want to explore the world.
Peppa Pig and the secret room. Peppa is happily playing in the living room when she suddenly discovers a small hidden door behind the curtain. She wonders what surprises might be inside. Peppa pulls George close and opens the secret door. Both siblings step into the dimly lit room, hearts racing with curiosity, light peeking through the tiny window. Peppa and George quickly run down the stairs, and right at the bottom, they find a pile of old toys, cars, dolls, and the toys they once loved. Peppa and George eagerly approach the pile, their eyes lighting up with joy as they reminisce. Together, they gather the toys and head back to the living room to show Mummy Pig and Daddy. Mummy Pig walks in and smiles at the sight of Peppa and George happily playing with the old toys. She smiles with warmth and happiness. The whole family sits together in the living room, reminiscing about the fun memories with the old toys. Laughter fills the room, bringing everyone even closer. Peppa Pig and the giant paper crane.
Yahoo!
After the rain, a small stream appears in the yard, drawing Peppa and George's curiosity. Wow! A giant glowing paper crane floats toward them like magic. It lifts them gently into a magical journey around the garden. It carries them through a star-filled universe with shimmering planets. At the end, it brings them home and shrinks into Peppa's hand like a mysterious gift. Peppa was surprised to see a strange hat on the grass.
Huh?
Whoa! George ran over and touched it, lights twinkling from the hat. Whoa! Peppa put the hat on, bubbles of light floated across the garden. Magical indeed! George tried the hat too, bubbles swirling around them, making them laugh out loud. The bubbles rose and settled on the tree branches, sparkling in the sunlight. They took off the hat, bubbles faded, but the magical joy lingered in the garden.
Peppa Pig and the box that wouldn't stay still. Everything is calm until a box rolls into the yard all by itself, as if it knows exactly where it's going. The box looks perfectly normal, except it refuses to stay still for even a second. Every time Peppa tries to open it, the box rolls away. Clearly it loves playing hide and seek. George tries to block its path, but the box is very good at avoiding him, especially avoiding George. In the end, the box chooses the simplest way to stop by rolling straight into a puddle. Inside the mysterious box is a very small bowl. And Peppa and George learn that sometimes the noisiest things hide the simplest surprises. Peppa Pig and the Lost Cloud.
Whoa!
It's a peaceful afternoon when Peppa and George notice a cloud floating unusually close to their backyard. Wherever they go, the cloud follows, as if it's afraid of getting lost. Peppa tries to touch the cloud. George tries too, but it always stays just out of reach. Soon, the cloud begins to fade away, leaving a few raindrops behind as a goodbye. Peppa and George learn that sometimes short visits can leave the longest-lasting joy. Peppa Pig and the strange-sounding trumpet. Peppa finds a toy trumpet that looks very ordinary. But when she tries to blow it, the sound is very different. George is startled at first, then becomes curious. Peppa blows more gently, and the trumpet immediately changes its mood. It turns out the trumpet likes to be played in its own way. Peppa and George learn that sometimes listening is just as important as making noise.
Peppa and George were sitting in the yard when they looked up at the sky and saw a cloud shaped like a bear.
Hi!
Peppa pointed at the sky and said, "Look, this cloud looks like a bear sleeping."
Huh?
George mimicked the bear, lying down and pretending to sleep on the grass, making Peppa laugh loudly. Mummy Pig walked over and saw them, saying, "You both are so cute, just like real bears." Peppa and George stood up and began imitating bears, walking slowly around the yard, laughing happily. Finally, the whole family sat together in the yard, looking at the bear-shaped cloud and enjoying the simple joy of the moment. Peppa and George packed the picnic basket with Mummy Pig, bringing bread, fruit, and drinks. The family walked into the colorful flower garden with bees and butterflies flying around.
Hey!
Peppa picked a red rose. George picked a sunflower, both laughing happily. Daddy Pig lifted Peppa to reach a tall flower. Peppa raised her hand excitedly. George curiously watched a snail crawling on a leaf. The family sat on the picnic blanket, eating bread, drinking water, and enjoying the beautiful garden view. Peppa and the shared umbrella. It's a rainy morning, and Peppa brings her favorite pink umbrella. She sees Wendy Wolf getting wet under a tree. Peppa smiles and shares her umbrella with Wendy. They walk together, splashing puddles and singing happily. Madame Gazelle says, "Sharing is wonderful." Peppa and Wendy smile under the pink umbrella. Peppa's Forest Picnic. Today, Peppa's family goes on a picnic in the forest. George chases a butterfly, making Peppa giggle. Mummy Pig sets up lunch while Daddy Pig finds a shady spot. Peppa shares apples with everyone, and George hugs her happily. The family relaxes together, smiling under the peaceful sky. Peppa helps Mummy Pig clean the house. Peppa and George are happily playing in the living room with toys scattered all over the floor. The room looks so messy. Mummy Pig walks in, looks around the messy room, and decides it's time to clean up. Peppa and George quickly say, "Let us do the cleaning ourselves." The two little ones start picking up toys and putting them into baskets. When they finish, Mummy Pig feels so proud of them. Gentle giggles fill the warm, cozy room. Hearing the laughter, Daddy Pig peeks in curiously. Oh no! He steps on George's toy car. It looks so funny. Peppa, George, and Mummy Pig burst out laughing. While Daddy Pig looks confused about why that toy is there. Peppa Pig and the Rainbow Rain. It's raining outside, and Peppa and George watch the raindrops slide down the window, wondering when a rainbow will appear. The rain stops, and sunlight peeks through the clouds. Peppa happily grabs her umbrella and runs outside with George to find the rainbow. A big, colorful rainbow arches across the sky. Peppa skips with joy, while George points up in amazement. In their imagination, Peppa and George slide down the rainbow like a giant, colorful slide, laughing as they glide through fluffy clouds. As the rainbow fades, Peppa and George lie on the grass, smiling softly, knowing that every rain brings a little magic. Peppa Pig and the Magical Garden. Peppa is playing when she suddenly kicks a softly glowing stone. When she sets it back down, a glowing sprout slowly rises from the ground. The sprout grows quickly into a shimmering magical flower bush. George runs over, and the two happily admire the glowing flowers. Finally, Peppa's whole family sits down to admire the giant flower tree. Peppa and George joyfully hop on the huge blossoms, feeling truly happy. Peppa Pig and the Cloud Pillow. Peppa finds a soft cloud-like pillow and hugs it. George touches it, and the pillow glows gently. They imagine floating through the sky on a fluffy cloud. The cloud carries them past rainbows and soft breezes. Peppa wakes up smiling, with Mummy Pig watching warmly. Peppa Pig and the Soap Bubble Dance. Daddy Pig had just finished assembling a giant bubble machine in the backyard.
Ta-da!
The machine started blowing countless bubbles, and Peppa and George danced while chasing them. Daddy Pig tried dancing after the bubbles, but every step he took made them all pop. Mummy Pig turned on the giant bubble mode, surprising the whole family with huge floating bubbles. Peppa and George danced around the giant bubble, reaching for it as it floated higher. The family sat in front of the porch, relaxing while watching bubbles drift into the sky.
Peppa Pig and the giant ball. Everything seems normal until Peppa and George notice a giant ball rolling straight into their backyard. The ball is enormous, but Peppa is determined because for Peppa, bigger always means more fun. The ball rolls across the grass, leaving funny circles behind, and Peppa laughs with every spin. George joins in, and together they try to control the giant ball, or at least try their best. And then, splash! The ball hits a puddle, sending water everywhere and turning the fun up even more. In the end, Peppa and George learn that sometimes all you need for great fun is a giant ball and lots of laughter. Peppa Pig and the strange noisy clock. Everything is very quiet until Peppa and George hear a strange sound they have never heard before. It turns out to be a clock, but not an ordinary one. It's big, it's loud, and it clearly loves attention. Every time the clock hand moves, the whole garden seems to wiggle along, and Peppa finds it very exciting. George decides to touch it. The clock immediately responds with an even louder sound, very much its own style. No one knows what this clock is really for, but it is very good at turning everything into a game. In the end, the clock becomes quiet, and Peppa and George realize that time goes fastest when you're having fun. Peppa Pig and the shadow that wouldn't listen. It's a sunny afternoon until Peppa and George notice that there's an extra shadow on the ground. This shadow doesn't follow what Peppa does. It clearly enjoys doing the opposite. Every time they try to control it, the shadow finds a new way to not cooperate. So Peppa and George stop trying to understand it and start playing with it instead. And then, as a cloud passes by, the shadow disappears as if it was never there. Peppa and George learn that some things don't need to be understood. They just need to be played with. Peppa Pig and the never-ending puddle. After the rain, Peppa and George discover a puddle that looks bigger than usual. Peppa jumps in, but strangely, the puddle doesn't get any smaller. George jumps in too. Lots of splashing, but the puddle still won't disappear. If the puddle never ends, then the best idea is to keep playing. The more they jump, the higher the splashes, and the more fun they have. Peppa and George learn that the best puddles are the ones you can enjoy again and again. Peppa Pig and the strange noise in the garden. The garden is calm and quiet until a strange rustling sound comes from the bushes.
Hey! Hey!
The noise isn't loud, but it's curious enough that Peppa and George can't ignore it. Peppa bravely moves closer, while George chooses a safer spot behind her. It turns out the sound was just the wind, but Peppa and George aren't fully convinced yet. And then, the loudest noise in the garden comes from George stepping on a dry leaf. Peppa and George learn that sometimes the scariest things are just in our imagination. Peppa Pig and the door that wouldn't open. It's a perfect day, but the door to the garden refuses to cooperate. Peppa pulls, George pushes, the door chooses to stay completely still. Maybe they're standing in the wrong place. They try again, but the door doesn't change its mind. When nothing works, Peppa does the most important thing, takes a short break. And then, when no one touches it, the door slowly opens on its own. Peppa and George learn that sometimes the hardest things become easy when you stop trying too hard. Peppa Pig and the clock that rang at the wrong time. Everything is calm and peaceful until the clock suddenly rings, even though it's clearly not the right time. Peppa notices the wall clock. The hands aren't moving, but the bell is very busy. George takes a closer look, and as if answering him, the clock rings again. Peppa gently touches the clock, and it immediately proves that it loves attention. Suddenly, the minute hand spins quickly, as if the clock is trying to catch up with time. In the end, the clock goes quiet again. Peppa and George learn that sometimes time just needs a reminder that everyone is having fun.